espérate. Ok. Uno, dos, tres.
I have no idea why we have so much
We
fun
are
doing that.
so lame.
We're so
Bienvenidos a Sunday
That's right.
Sobras. Sunday
Welcome to
Sobras.
Sunday Lefters.
Los
It's been a
leftovers,
while, hasn't it?
los leftovers del domingo. I'm sorry.
Hey, stop talking. Stop talking in Spanish. You're gonna make my algorithm flip. We're gonna do this in French or something. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time. Like I can't even remember how long it's been. Of course, I can't remember anything anyway. So what's the difference? But so here we are. It is I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure all of Austin will probably be extinct by noon today or by midnight tonight because it's 45 degrees out there and nobody knows what to do. We're literally freezing to death. That's totally a joke. Also, super dramatic. It's good to be here. It's good to see your face. It's good to see your face.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
You have been missed by me and, of course, for the thousands of people that is every Wednesday afternoon.
The tens and tens of people.
Yeah. They're looking for Sunday Leftovers. But believe me, eventually people see this show during the week and eventually they found something very useful into our conversations. So
I feel renewed energy to do it because last weekend we had coming home weekend and we had people in from all over the country and they all reminded me that they actually tuned in for this. And so I tell my daughters that I'm a micro influencer. So I've got 8 people that watch this. Anyway, it's fun to be here.
That could be something. That could be something because if you influence the right people, that creates a big impact. You, micro influencer.
That's right. I have friends who are micro dosers, but I'm a micro influencer.
Right.
Listen, in all honesty, transitioning seriously, if something helps a handful of people, why would we not do it?
Yeah.
So anyway,
and also, let's be honest, we really enjoy to talk and to be this crazy and to do the lamest fist bump of the entire universe. Now it's like
anyway, it's so fun. Okay, let's jump in.
People can't imagine if we can be more lame. I assure you, we can. We can.
We usually are right before we start recording this. That's when we get it all out of the way. No, but for real, we're finishing up our series. Wouldn't it be nice? And this coming Sunday will be the last installment of that. Of course, according to the lectionary, it's Christ the King Sunday coming up, which is going to be an interesting conversation around the parable of the sheep and the goats. And so I'm working on that now. It's another installment. Yeah, it's another installment in Matthew's story arc of sort of what should we be doing while we're waiting for whatever's coming next. And of course, apocalyptic literature, apocalyptic philosophy, apocalyptic theology really is only born of the peoples who have been conquered and vanquished and oppressed and occupied. And so it doesn't land naturally on us because by nature, we're the conquerors, we're the vanquishers, we're the oppressors because of where we sit in history. So without going into that too much, we have one more installment, but this last one, parable of the talents, 3 guys put in charge of different amounts of their masters. I hear a ton of voices. Is that you? Do you hear voices? I hear voices.
Maybe there's people downstairs. I'm sorry.
No worries. Sounds like they're having a party down there.
Maybe.
Well, we should be done shooting video and go have a party. Anyway, it's the story of the 3 slaves in the newer translations, or servants as well, who are put in charge of different amounts of money. And really, the theme to me was it's not a parable about talents at all. It's a parable about fear. It's the fear that the 3rd slave had towards the master. And so I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Not surprisingly, fear was very much the basis of the religion of my childhood. We did what we did based out of fear. We ended every service with an altar call because what if a bus hit you tonight and you didn't go to heaven? Or we dealt with our bodies and our bodies' development in the world. We dealt with our sexuality and our orientation and all of those curiosities. We dealt with them totally based in fear. And so it's been a heavy, I think in retrospect, we could have done a 4 or 5 part series just on fear alone. So this happens to me often midweek. I'm struggling to let go of what we talked about last week, trying to let it go so we can grab onto the next thing and kind of move our way through. And the subject of fear has been coming up a lot with my friends around town, the things that I'm into, specifically in the area of relationships. So this is not your situation, Caesar. This is not where you are because you're still married to the bride of your childhood, right? But for some
That's
of us,
right.
that is no longer the case. Um, Fear plays an enormous role when you're at midlife and you're resetting and you're restarting your life. And
I get
so
you.
here's what happens. And this is not relationship advice because that's not what this is about, except that this is just where I'm at right now. There's a couple of really big fears that paralyze people that are beginning new relationships. And one of those fears is, I have to hang on to this because this might be the only chance I have left to not be alone. And that kind of fear does nothing good. Nothing good. Because
This is
all it
bad,
does is it's a horrible place to begin.
bad
It's a
advisor. Yeah.
that's terrible advice. Don't ever grab onto something as if it's the last chance you'll get. We call that scarcity in the post Brene Brown world. She named that for us. And that is the wrong way to approach doing anything good. Another fear might be, and this is very real at 50, to be honest, another fear might be, it's too late. Time's getting away. And who makes good decisions when they're in a hurry? Here's an example. We can't even do the basic things when we're in a hurry. We can't find the car keys when we're running late. Why do we only lose our car keys when we're running late? Well, because the part of our brain that opens itself to all of the connections and the memories of where things might be shuts down when we're afraid. And so with tunnel brain, where we're literally only thinking about, I'm going to be embarrassed when I get to the meeting because I'm going to walk in late. Of course you can't find your car keys, even though they're right there, even though they're somewhere within arm's reach. So
Yeah.
fear of being alone, fear of time getting away. These are the fears that cripple people. Um, Another one, fear that my kids are gonna stop opening up to me or stop relating to me will often make a parent uh, not parent. Will
Hmm.
often make a parent not step up or not speak truth, or that's really the truth is we don't speak truth when there's anything at risk because we live in fear that maybe it'll mean disconnection. And so
Hmm.
that's a huge subject. And all of those things feel
It is.
huge. All of those things feel big. But when we turn that same framework to God and we say, I'm afraid of this master that has entrusted me this life. I'm afraid that he's going to return when I least expect it. So I'm just going to do the bare minimums. Of course, the third slave didn't creatively invest that sum of money or that whatever that charge was. Of course, he didn't invest it because he was afraid. So what could faith look like? What could religion look like? What could faith look like? What could relationships look like? If we pulled fear away and just simply said, with no apologies, this is me, I am here, this is my moment, this is what I see most clearly.
Hmm.
What could our life be then? I think the first two slaves, we don't have any evidence in the text. We don't have it, so they're flat dynamically. These are characters that are completely
Yeah,
flat,
we
which
we
means
we're just imagining scenarios. Yeah.
we don't know anything about
Yeah.
what they did to invest. We don't know anything about who they were. All we know is that Matthew says they immediately got to work investing that money. So I would never want to idealize a flat character because we don't know enough about them. But let's just say, for example, what could our life be like if we just got to work investing what we had without the fear of it coming up short or losing the investment or
Yeah.
fear of when the master might return? What could faith look like then?
Well, to be honest, I think some
Mm-hmm.
people, I don't know. Of course, everybody talks related to the context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have contact with some people that, to be honest, and I'm so open to be wrong. Probably I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but I know some people that it's like they are in this place in their lives that it's kind of they need to have fear
Mm,
because it's the only motivator in their
mm,
life. Because as soon as they
mhm,
left that motivator, they will feel like, okay, if it's no fear, so there's no morale, there's no good behavior, there's no nothing. So it's like when you open the door for the dog that never leaves the house, and eventually the dog just ran and ran and ran and ran, and eventually can't
mhm.
find the way home.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Maybe it's not a good
No,
comparison, but
it's an interesting point because that's one of the points that we made in the sermon was this.
okay,
And this in Proverbs it talks about this. Fear is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So there's a place
right,
in our development. There's a place in our developmental journey. And without attaching anything negative or pejorative to where you are on that, there's an adolescent stage in our journey where fear is where wisdom begins. It begins with some boundaries. It begins with some lanes. Like I look back on my childhood and a couple of things that I'm grateful for. We had a very austere and very strict sexual ethic that kept me out of trouble. It kept me out of trouble. So
right,
I have a lot to be thankful for in the sense that fear, although I would say now fear has given way to something different. Fear did keep the dog from running away and getting lost, right? So I
right.
always had this sense of how to get home. Here's the problem though. Fear is where wisdom maybe begins, but it's not the end goal.
That's right.
Wisdom starts within the bottom end of a funnel, but if you live your life in discipleship, it opens
But
up. And
but you
so,
know,
love becomes the law, not fear. And I
right.
think what Jesus is doing is he's taking fear away from the way we look at God.
But you know, we are in this business called religion, and we are
Oh,
expert in religion using fear to. I mean, because I understand when I was a little child to be fear fearful,
mm,
to have fear about,
to be afraid.
to be afraid. Thank you. To be
Yeah,
afraid of some stuff keeps me safe. And that I understand that.
that's right.
I was growing up, and eventually I'm not afraid anymore about going to the street or crossing the
Yeah.
street or going to supermarket. I'm not afraid of
Mhm.
strangers because I know how to behave and how to
Yeah.
take care of myself. Religion, a lot of religion systems
Mhm.
likes to treat you as a child for
Yes.
your
Yes.
entire life. You
Yes.
are a child, no matter if you knows how to uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
working in your life, no matter if you are have a
Yep.
PhD, you are a
Yep.
child. In front of that
Yep.
pastor,
Well,
in front of that
I would
you're a child.
say,
You should be
yeah,
fearful.
they freeze you in a state of adolescence. And the
That's
way they
right.
do that, that's right. The way
That's
they do that, they freeze you in that state by telling you that your answers come from the outside. Your affirmations come from the outside. Comfort, consolation, hope, all of that is
everything.
outside of you. And so that's the adolescent stage where you rely on all of those external things. But here's the thing with faith development. Here's the thing with discipleship. We grow. Fear gives way to love because fear is a good motivator. Let's say, for example, you're afraid of not passing your college class, right? Well,
Right.
that'll get you out of bed on a Saturday morning and get you to the library so that you study because you're afraid. What are you going to do if you have to call Cesar and tell him that reprobé mi clase en UT? Like, what are you going to do if you're Mati, right? And hey, I failed my class. I'm afraid of what that's going to be. So fear is a motivator in the beginning, but a far greater motivator is love of learning to say, I don't want to
Right.
miss this. So I'm driven. So,
Right.
so arguably
You
now
you
the
learn
bigger,
you learn something from fear,
right,
but
right.
just that.
Well, it's a season of your life that moves you into direct. Let's say, for example, you're a child and all you crave is chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. Uh, some rules around what to eat at the table are going to be a really good thing for a while. But eventually, you'll be an adult and you'll eat exactly what you want. Well, the difference is
Right.
by that time, you're eating everything under the sun because you've learned over time, right? So what I'm suggesting, and of course, this is not everybody's cup of tea. There are many churches that have really, really strong ideas about how to be perfect people. And there are a lot of people that in their spiritual journey need that. And I'm not arguing with that. That is fully legit.
Yeah.
ANC sits at a different juncture. ANC, we have positioned this little church at a different intersection. And that's the intersection where adult discipleship becomes motivated by love. Like, we don't serve the poor in our city because we're afraid. We serve the poor because we love. And so
right.
I think the parable of the talents is less about investment strategies and less about an angry God or an angry master or when are they coming back. It's more about what happens to us creatively, where our first step forward is, I'm afraid of God. I'm terrified of God. If that's our first step forward, then I promise you everything else that happens after that is going to be limited in its creativity, limited in its impact, because I think what Jesus is trying to say is that God is for us. So John will say late in his life, perfect love casts out all fear, meaning
that's right.
Fear starves love starves what feeds fear until eventually there is nothing left but love. Even austere Paul in his development across his epistles gets to the point where he will say, if I have everything known to man, but I do not have love, I still don't have anything at all. So even Paul, the one who in many cases is the embodiment of extreme austere religion in a Christian perspective. Do this, do that, don't do this. If you're in this list, you're going to hell. Cut off your body parts. If you're this, gouge your eye out. If that, even Paul over time evolves to a point where he speaks to the church at Corinth and says, if I have everything there is to have, but I'm missing this one thing, I don't have anything at all. So what I'm trying to say through the parable of the talents is a far greater motivator than fear is love. That's
amazing. That's amazing.
That took forever to get there, but here we are.
I mean, that's amazing. If we as Christians could embrace that idea just a little bit more, that we think that we already embrace that, everything could be so much better.
Well, we could show up. Here's the thing, and I'm learning this from Michael Singer, right? We've talked about this book before. If you don't have this book, just trust me and go get it. If we can move to a place of love and acceptance, then we actually get to show up. Here's the problem with fear, and this is what the third slave did. We hide things. He hid the money. We hide ourselves in relationships if we're afraid the person won't tolerate all of us. We hide ourselves in marriage if we're afraid the person's going to leave us if we show up.
Right.
We hide ourselves from God. We literally don't pray truth. We pray what we think we're supposed to feel. That's why I hate public prayer. It feels like performance art. I'm going to now display all these things that I think I should probably feel. In reality, we hide. That's what fear does. It makes us hide. Yeah. So I say, let's come out of the dark. Let's come out of the closets. Let's come out of the places in our life where we are on reserve and we're withheld and we're withdrawn. Let's just come fully out. If people leave your circle because you showed up, then they were not your people to begin with. Let them go. Do what we talk about as the greatest spiritual technology of all, which is this. Just release. Open your hand and let it go. Let them go. Let them go. Friends, if you're single at mid-age, oh my God, I hope you're not. But if you are, don't date with fear. Don't meet people in fear. Show the F up completely and let people decide. Let people decide. It's better to be unafraid and to be alone than it is to live in fear. Trust me. I know that lesson firsthand. So anyway, here we are. That's way too much autobiography on a Sunday leftover.
We really appreciate that, Jason.
Yeah.
Your humanity is part of that everybody loves.
Well, good. I'm glad. So all 10 of you out there, be sure and communicate with us that you appreciate what we're doing. Cesar, I think we're going to see you in February. Hey, everyone. Caesar's going to drift his way up to Texas in February. So we're going to make a big line and we're going to all hug his neck like we do in Texas. And can't wait to see that. So anyway.
And maybe we will be able to make a real, not lame fist bump.
Yes. Well, make a real not lame. I'm not sure that's available to us at this point.
Maybe at this point we are.
Dude, between us, we're almost 100 years old. So let's just be kind to ourselves.
How old are you, Jason?
I'm 50. How old are you, dog? How old are you?
I'm about to be 47. So yeah.
So that's like 97 years old, dude.
Wow, that's a lot.
We're old. And this went 20 minutes, which
And
means
I'm
I'm
afraid, maybe I'd be there for my birthday.
I'll put a piñata up right here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do that.
Let's talk to Lamar and see if let's make this trip epic and let's shoot all kinds of videos.
Yeah. I want to work over there.
All right, let's see if we can remember how to do this. Ready?
Ready. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, go.